This is Mrs. Valens. So, in our lesson, we talked a little bit about what our identity, or we saw some things that are part of my identity. So, I wanted to make a list because it's always good to kind of have a little plan of what you want to do, or just to get some thoughts and ideas down before you start making your name artwork that we're going to be starting. And so I just listed a bunch of stuff, a few other things in addition to my slides. And so I'm going to show you how we're going to be drawing these out. All right, so I made a list: sushi, nature, Pokemon, cooking, baking, wife, dog, mom, cheese, Wisconsin, painter, kindness, animals, daughter, and sister. All right, so that's all part of my identity. You're going to make a separate list of things that make you who you are. And that's that's like the main focus of this lesson. All right, so for our paper, for a name, you're gonna probably want to have the paper going horizontal. If you do it this way, unless you wanted to make your name kind of vertically, that's fine, but I think for the most part, everyone's going to want their paper to be horizontal. And so for this lesson, I want you to try and get creative with the letters as much as possible. It's not going to be just plain old, just stick letters. No, not just lines. We're going to make these fabulous, like art always is. So before you get started, kind of plan out, just kind of sketch out your name. Really try and fill a lot of the paper. I'm just lightly going in and doing Valens. If you wanted to do a nickname, that's totally fine, as long as it's appropriate. And so I'm just going and lightly sketching Valens. This way, if you make any mistakes, you can easily erase it. So I know that's really hard to see, but that's okay. We're going to go in with harder lines later. And remember, you can always flip over on the back if you make a mistake. So I'm looking at my list, and I'm going to try and figure out how I can make this fit, or kind of shape the names, or shape the letters that we're going to be doing. So if I'm looking down, so I'm thinking of painter, I'm thinking pencils, paintbrushes, things that represent what being a painter means. And so maybe I could do that for the V. So I'm going to go in, and I think I'm going to make a paintbrush. I should probably be doing this a little bit lighter, but well, what can you do? I'm going to make a paintbrush for one side of the V. And then maybe I'll do a pencil for the other side, because, like painters, they still got to sketch things out. And so they use those too. Ooh, maybe I should have used a straight edge for this. Oh my gosh, it's kind of a wiggly pencil. Oh, that's what our erasers are for. I can even make them cross over and overlap. Ooh, that kind of looks really snazzy. My pencil is a little wobbly. Oh well. Maybe I have one of those wiggle pencils. What matters is if you just do your best. And so as I move along, I'm kind of thinking about how to make these things that represent me into these letters. And let's see, for this A, A. Okay, I'm thinking, okay, so nature. I really like nature. I really love trees. I love to look at trees. And even though they're growing, these are kind of growing down, these could be like turn into roots. That was a happy accident. Oh my gosh, that was a really happy accident. Like Bob Ross said, happy trees, happy accident, all that stuff. So I'm going in and I'm kind of drawing harder just to get that kind of, and maybe the hole in the A, maybe that could be like one of those owl holes or whatever lives in the hole of a tree. That could be that. And then trees have kind of like a texture to them. And so I'm going to put that texture in. And so those are kind of like the roots over here, and kind of like that. And if it's not, like, so, like if you really can't tell this is a tree, maybe I'll make a little branch go off of it. Maybe another one. And so you can kind of tell that that was my inspiration for that letter. This is kind of fun. I'm liking this. All right. And if you're really stuck on something, like if you're like, Mrs. Valence, I can't make a letter, like this letter doesn't fit into anything. As long as you make them thicker and are able to make a design in them, then that is totally fine. Like as I take this L, so I'm gonna make this L thicker. I'm just going around making a block letter, and I think I'm gonna do like a Pokemon design. So I'm gonna have like Pokeballs. Some are gonna be going off of the page or off of the letter, because I like how that looks. It looks like, you know, pajamas or something. Kind of have those. So if that's if you like anything that's circular shaped, and if you have like a circular, like an O in your name, you're golden. There's a tons of stuff that you could be doing. So absolutely keep on going with that. Right, so now that I have all of my letters all out and part of my identity, everything, let me just quick explain. So we already did the artists and nature, Pokemon. This one, once I color it, is going to be dripping cheese, because I love cheese. And I had a hard time with the N, not gonna lie. So I flipped back to nature, and I just did kind of like a sky themed N. And then the S represents that I am married, so I did a little heart in the S, and then on the bottom I did a little ring. And now what really makes an artwork pop, especially if you want to be able to see it, is to outline. So we're going to go ahead and outline and take our time for sure. All right, now that I'm outlined, what a good artist does, especially if they're done outlining, is they go back in and erase any of the extra pencil lines. You notice I didn't color in that little hole for the A in the tree. That's because I'm going to do that later with a different material, probably either crayon or colored pencil. So I'm just going in and erasing, so we're left with just a nice clean black marker line. All right, and now it's time for color. So with color, with different materials work in different ways. So if I'm using, I'm just going to take another piece of paper because I don't want to test it out on my Valens. Different materials look good in different ways. Like if you're using crayons, which I love crayons. I think that lots of people, they're like, ugh, crayons. But I love them because they fill in the area really easily. And so when you're coloring, you want to make sure that you're not getting big gaps in between to do your best. You want to go slow and keep your lines nice and close, just like that. If you are working in colored pencil, pretty much the same thing. Colored pencil is great for really small details if you have to get in, like for the little leaves in my A. Whew, that's a really small detail, or in the little Pokeballs. So when I see students coloring with colored pencils kind of like that, I'm like, you take your time. So take your time and make it really, really nice. And with colored pencils, it's cool, and crayons, the same thing. You can do kind of like a gradient effect. So I'm pressing down hard, and then as I go down, I'm pressing lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. And you can get a really nice gradient effect that way. If you're working with markers, so markers obviously can only give us one hue, one color. It can't really give us a gradient like colored pencils or crayons can. Markers are great for if you need large spaces of color. So I'm using the side of the marker to get thicker lines, tip of the marker to get thinner lines. So utilize the marker how it's supposed to be used, and you'll get the result that you want to use it. So just be very careful when you're doing that, because we want this to be excellent, excellent craftsmanship. Want to make sure that you're doing your best. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start coloring. All right, and I am done with my Valens, my identity artwork that shows my name. So I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. All right, awesome. Thanks for watching.